Miss, what do you want to buy?
I'm not buying anything, I'm selling something.
What are you selling, miss?
I'm selling myself.
16 years ago, when my mother was pregnant with me,
16 years ago, her pregnant mother was attacked by bandits.
but she refused. For the sake of me in her womb, she struggled to live on. My father, for the sake of his reputation, couldn't divorce her himself because it was my mother who saved him. If he divorced her, it would be seen as a breach of faith, which would hinder his official career. So he...
The farm was dilapidated, not a place to rest.
My mother and I lived in a remote village for 8 years. During those 8 years, my father never came once. Only 2 maidservants took care of us, but in fact, they were just guarding us, not allowing us to run around freely or have contact with outsiders. My mother and me. They called my mother a whore and said that she should have killed herself after losing her virtue. They called me a bastard, claiming that I was the result of my mother's affair with another man. My mother would defend me and argue with them, but every time she was beaten until she was covered in bruises.
The insults were ordered by the second wife.
Clues were discovered. It would be a handle for others to use against them. My father's career was at its peak and he couldn't afford to take such a risk. So they could only slowly torture us like cutting with a blunt knife, and our suicide would be the best outcome for them.
Mom taught her to read and write, but why?
Defiant, I tried to sneak away, and finally managed to get on the carriage when the manor was sending supplies to the village and followed it back to the manor. It was my first time seeing the Parker Manor. It was magnificent with carved beams and painted pillars. I was wearing tattered clothes, and was treated as a beggar and kicked out. Manor. I saw my father coming back in a sedan chair with a delicate and pretty little girl. I went up to call my father, but was kicked down by his guards. My father looked at me with disdain and ordered someone to send me back to the village. His tone was cold and he looked at me as if I were a disgrace.
The father called her a beggar.
Family. So I studied hard with my mother. As I grew older and more beautiful year by year, my mother's brows became more and more furrowed. She didn't allow me to dress up. To prevent the 2 nannies who guarded us from noticing my appearance, she even...
Mom returned sad. What happened at the manor?
She left a suicide note filled with her own remorse, saying that she had defiled herself and didn't deserve to live. I didn't believe what was written in my mother's note, nor did I believe she had committed suicide.
She didn't believe her mother committed suicide.
The second lady is kind-hearted and has already found a good match for you. He's a lame widower who slaughters pigs. It's your good fortune to be able to marry him. Get ready, he'll come to take you in a few days. Scene. The 2 nuns thought I had resigned myself to my fate. But little did they know that in the middle of the night, after they fell asleep, I carried my mother's body and ran away. When I reached the capital, the brown was already high in the sky. When I arrived at the gate of the Parker residence, I saw a long wedding procession coming out, a true 10 miles of red, extremely grand. I heard the people around me talking. It turned out
her sister is becoming the emperor's concubine. She vows revenge for her mother's death.
There is nothing that the Treasures Building cannot obtain, and there is nothing that the Treasures Building dares not auction. No one knows who is behind the Treasures Building, but neither the sons of nobles nor the descendants of noble families dare to be unruly here. At this moment,
She is not buying, she is selling. She is the Prime Minister's daughter. This deal won't be a loss, she insists.
After about the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, Brown returned and said,
She wants news spread and protection for 3 days. She wants to make her father a laughingstock. What happens next? Download our app and search the code to watch the full series now.